Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to Life Like Bunny. I am Bunny, the life that is of. I have got another video for you guys. If you've not read the title, today's video is me talking about accessibility not being a luxury. Okay, we need to hear that again. Just because things are accessible, just because we adapt society and certain facilities to make them accessible, does not mean they are luxuries, okay? Rich people have taken accessibility and turned it into luxury, when accessibility, first and foremost, is just a mere mechanism of fucking society. Things need to be accessible because every person has different accessibility needs. Hence, accessibility, okay? Disabled people are the #1 people that need accessibility, and it needs to not be put in this luxurious lens, because then accessibility gets taken away from disabled people, because it gets meant to look like we want things that are extra than everybody else. Big example, in the UK, if you claim certain benefits that are disability benefits, you get a mobility car, okay? You have the ability to get a mobility car, and you're not getting the mobility car because you're getting it for free. No, they're using the money that would have helped you to pay for your medication. They're using the money that would have been for car, because you need to literally an Uber. They're using that very same money you would have used basically to ease your disability. They're using that instead for you to get the car, which to me is also bonkers, because now the money that should have been used for your prescriptions, you don't have it. You don't have it because you rather have a car. It's like you're trading in this stuff for a car, which is insane. And then people don't see that as some sort of like accessibility that disabled people need in order for them to participate in society. No, 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 no. They see that as people stealing from the government and stealing from the public purse. They see that form of accessibility, of giving somebody a car that can fit their wheelchair, a car that can take them to the A&E in an emergency, where they don't have to wait 20 minutes for to an ambulance, or 20 minutes for a car. It means they have a car and a carer that could just literally respond to their needs and take them to a hospital if necessary. You don't see that that's just accessibility. It doesn't matter what type of car it is. In fact, the better the car, the nicer, because then you can get them there in fast and the car is not gonna fucking break on them. Accessibility is not a luxury. That is not the disabled people getting some sort of luxury good that you're not getting and you're a hardworking person. My love, no. That is accessibility, because the option is that person dying in a motherfucking house and then months later or years later having it be rotted for the neighbors because nobody checked up on them, because they literally had zero accessibility to leave their fucking home. Because when they thought they were going to have a heart attack and they could have potentially drove themselves to the hospital, they couldn't because they don't have a car. They had to go to the fucking bus, to a bus stop that's gonna stop with 20 bus stops. You're sick. You're sick, you could potentially have a heart attack, and the bus stop is literally... Are you okay? This is not a luxury. This is accessibility. Oh my fucking god. A lot of tools are developed to help disabled people, but rich people are like, give me some of that. And then they take them, and then the whole thing starts to look funny when a disabled person has it, because you're like, how are they poor, disabled, and able to afford a luxury item when I can't? When the thing was never luxury in the first place. The thing was an accessibility tool. And this is how they're getting you to hate your fellow man, while they're also removing those very things to you. Because also, for example, having ramps for wheelchairs, having places not having stairs everywhere, so people who have fucking heart disease like me, we don't have to fucking go up winding fucking stairs. All that shit is actually for disabled people. However, it will help non-disabled people, because you could straight up just be tired and you don't want to go up a leap of motherfucking stairs. Things that are made for disabled people end up helping non-disabled people too, because you're a human. Because disability, yes, it can be long-term and chronic. However, we are all disabled in our everyday lives. When you're tired, you could fall and break your leg and you're slightly, disabled, because you're not as able as you usually are. And just because you don't have a diagnosis of some chronic illness does not mean you don't deserve accessibility. For example, in some councils, you can book a wheelchair if you're, doing travel there. But you can only book that wheelchair if you have a diagnosis and you're chronically ill and you're receiving certain benefits, blah, blah, blah. However, somebody could just be dizzy that day because they've had bad news and their world is going all nuts, blah, blah, blah. And they need a disabled tool because within that moment, they are experiencing a disabled person's symptoms. And they might not be able to recover in a few hours, and they do need a wheelchair to help them out. They need the council and the government to participate and help them. Accessibility is not luxury. It is necessary. For example, another thing I saw, like there's a TikToker called Samara, big TikToker. I love Samara. She makes content helping spread awareness about, things that affect her as a plus size woman. Right? For example, like going to buy clothes, but then the plus size clothes being literally at the very fucking end. So you have to go through the whole shop to get the clothes that you want, which means you're more susceptible to marketing, which means you're more likely to buy shit that you didn't need versus a skinny bitch that's gonna come and take whatever she wants and leave. That's the content she makes, and I will recommend you following her. Okay? She made a video about basically needing more accessible belts on a plane and da-da-da. And people getting upset, oh, just buy 2 seats, just da-da-da. The plane seats are already skinny as shit for skinny as bitches anyway. Planes did get invented being that uncomfortable. Planes, when they first invented, were luxury. They were accessible for every single person, poor or not, until they realized they could charge you for luxury. And now they're making people who are first and foremost disabled uncomfortable because those chairs are not literally equipped for disabled people. I was in so much pain when I was in those fucking planes because I can't stretch out my legs. I don't get enough oxygen in my body. My organs were suffocating. I was in the most excruciating pain. I was crying the entire time. Every single time I fly, I'm in pain. I am crying because I'm disabled. However, the rich fuckers have taken the seats that would have been disabled seats. Now they are first class seats. Now they are economy seats. They don't ask for a belt extender. Because whether you're skinny or fucking fat, you are going to get a comfortable seat if you're in first class. Because when you're rich, it doesn't matter now. Suddenly, rich people get accessibility and they're not being looked down upon and being told get 2 seats. They get 1 first class seat that's big enough that they can even sleep in it. Do you think a disabled person doesn't need a break to be able to sit, to sleep and stretch out their motherfucking legs? But no, richness. Fucking get out of here. We need to be kinder and nicer people. We need to understand that just because somebody has something you don't have does not mean it should be removed from them. It means you should work on also getting what you want. That's it for today's video. Do not forget to like it. Comment your thoughts down below. Do you also agree with me that accessibility is not luxury and they should not convolute the two? And it's such a shame when that happens, because it leads to disabled people especially being left out in the open without the help that they need because it's deemed too luxurious and we don't deserve it. That's it. Like I said, share with whoever you find useful, and do not forget to eat pussy, suck dick, and everything in between. Yo, the sun that shines in my little pussy. Bye bye. Only time I ever acted like a... She said the only time I ever acted like a fucking fool. She was getting too close. She was touching your clothes. She was smelling your cologne. I said, baby, the only toy. I acted like a fucking fool. She was getting too close. She was touching your clothes. She was smelling your cologne. And then I said, pussy be crying like I'm whipped. Because I'm whipped, I'm horny for you, baby. I'm not so more. So come on, hit it, puppy. She said, dive in. I need to start a video. Go. We jump and jive.